In order to grow a giant, the first thing we often look at is the genetics, right? So you take a good genetics seed to grow a giant. You want a seed from a very a large pumpkin or watermelon, depending on what you're going for. Ultimately, we tend to go for size. We want a seed from as large of a fruit as possible, pretty much, and one that has the genetic line has shown to do well for other people. You're growing a really large plant, so with pumpkin, this plant's gonna root in at every leaf node. So this plant, you imagine this giant pumpkin patch is a giant root structure to supply one fruit. And then you're gonna start to build up that source of energy to feed that pumpkin. A lot can go wrong, right? Weather, we try to be as consistent as possible when we're growing these things, that we water them consistently. Also fertilizer. With fertilizer applications, we tend to feed these plants a lot, but you gotta be consistent. Things that will quickly interfere with that is the weather. Like we just had 3 to 5 inches of rain in a day. That could end your season right there, just because we can't take the rain away unless you're in a protected structure like a greenhouse. There's a lot of stress that goes into growing these things, but depending on your setup, you're either building a giant tripod in your pat and using a chain to pick it up, but you need a pumpkin lifting ring. It's the actual device made to lift giant pumpkins, and it kind of just cradles it through different lifting straps and ropes. And we lift the pumpkin that way. And the goal is get it up lifted, slide a pallet under it, and then once it's on a pallet, we can kind of move it around a little easier. The judges are checking it that it's structurally sound. So looking for leaks, looking for rot spots or any sort of defects that are damaged, basically. And so they are checked for that, but for the most part, growers grow for weight. And there is some of the heaviest pumpkins, not always, but they tend to be kind of ugly and off color.